Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our 6th installment of our wellness workshop with Sandy. Sandy, thank you so much for being here today. We're so excited to learn from you and hear what you have to tell us about opting for better choices. Again, Sandy's a 20-year professional who has over 10 years of experience in corporate education, training over 700 artists on techniques, artistry, and industry trends. And not only that, but she's a certified health and mindset coach and meditation guide. Sandy, feel free to take it away.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. Give me one quick second to grab my presentation. Hold on one second. For some reason, I need to reload it, which is not a big deal. And then I will share my screen. I hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day for those mothers in the crowd or anybody who is a figurative mother of any kind. So happy Mother's Day to all of you. I had a wonderful day yesterday. My only wish was I just don't want to cook. And I got that wish, so I'm super excited. Okay, awesome. Let me get this back into presentation mode. Let's see here, awesome. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I am so excited for today. It's so astonishing to me that we only have a few more weeks left with each other. I cannot believe it went by so fast, and we're getting through. We're over halfway through the program of us working together, which is, it's just so beautiful. So let's go on and start today. So, okay, here's the overview of today's session. So today's session, we are going to, as always, start in a grounding practice and also what our session intentions are. We are going to continue to explore the gut, mind, and beauty connection. That's not going to go away. And actually today we might be able to put more pieces of it together for you so that you have a little bit more of a clear understanding on how they all work synergistically to create your overall well-being. We are also going to talk today about what really nourishes you, like what nourishes your body, but even past your body, what also nourishes you. So we are going to get into ways to opt for better choices in real life. Because when I present things to you, it's super easy to want to be like, yeah, I'm motivated. I'm so ready to go and get them. And then all of a sudden you're like smack dabs, put right back into real life. And all of those blocks in obstacles and factors are still there. So it's a little bit about how to navigate that. We are also going to tap into self-connection. And then I have an amazing support tool for you today. So I'm just curious, did anybody, and throw this in the chat, did anybody download the grocery guide from last week and utilize it at all? Just throwing it out there. I'm just curious, throw it into the chat. If not, like totally be honest with me. I'm totally down. I'm totally cool. Not to be scary. Did anybody get it? No? Okay. No worries. No worries. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. They're just blue light glasses, I didn't feel like doing eyeshadow today, so I just threw some blue light glasses on and some red lipstick because you just need to. You just need to do what feels good, right? I was still in Mother's Day chill mode. So, okay, not yet planning on it in case you need the grocery. Thank you, Jamie, for throwing it there. Jennifer, awesome. Yeah, I'm not shocked that Jennifer got it. Jennifer, you're like my hype girl. I love you. You're amazing. All right, so we're going to continue growing on food today, but we're gonna bring in all these other different modalities to, again, make it more synergistic. Woot, woot. Yep, totally. Okay. So here's today's intention. So today's intention is to help you identify the ways in which your gut and mind impact your beauty and well-being. And we are going to learn about what really nourishes you, like what actually nourishes you and how to opt for better choices in real life. So let's always begin with a grounding practice and a way from us to disconnect from the outside world for just this rest of the hour, because it will be there when you come back. So if you just want to go ahead and put down your pen, your journal, your phone, whatever that looks like for you, and plant your feet on your floor. Sit back in a relaxed position. And then whenever you are ready, close your eyes, roll your shoulders back, and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Taking one more deep breath in through your nose. And then exhale out through your mouth. And continue with your eyes closed for just one more moment. And just checking in to see how your body feels at this moment. Where do you find joy in your body? Where do you find a little tension? Just notice it. And soften the breath. Quiet the mind. I know that the start of this week will always bring you your intentions when you are clear with them. And when you are ready, you can just slowly drop your chin to your chest and open up your eyes and come back to the room. And I love starting out with these grounding practices because for some of you, if you're moving really quickly, that practice in all of itself could be your meditation for the day. It could be that moment to reset your nervous system for the day, to check in with your body. Always look for the parts of your body in which bring you joy, perhaps where it's bringing you tension. Practices like that, even it was literally, you guys, that was a minute long. That will help you to develop a really good relationship with your body intelligence, which is something we're going to talk about today. And I introduced the idea of it last week and a couple weeks ago with the journal. Your body intelligence, your relationship with your body is one of the relationships to bond with the most and to develop the most. That's self-love, all of that. It's so pivotal for your well-being. All right, let's keep it moving. So here we are in our flow. We are on the last week of nutrition and lifestyle. We've already gone through mindset and self-connection, but what you're going to hear today a little bit is about how we bring mindset and self-connection into nutrition and lifestyle. And in a couple weeks, we're going to go over some self-care rituals, which I love. Okay, so opting for better choices. So this is part 2 of opting for better choices. And we have already talked a little bit about the education of the microbiome and a little bit of food exploration. But today we're going to expand on that for food exploration for Salon life and giving you some tips on how you can create accountability, but also opt for better choices after we're done with this program. Because when this program is over, you know, some of you are going to have momentum, which is awesome. And a lot of you are going to probably forget everything I said. And remember, you will only retain 7% of all of the information I have presented to you. 7%. If you took notes and you review your notes, that percentage will go up to 30. But 7% is all you're taking away. So we are going to just talk about some of the things that you can do that will make a sizable impact in your life. Okay, so let's get back into it. So the connection of your gut, your mind, and your beauty. I want to review it again because you probably only retained 7% of what you learned last week, right? So we have talked a lot about how the mind influences your nervous system, or it can influence the way that you respond to your experiences, or maybe react to your experiences, right? Because you basically either react or respond. Okay. The idea is to get you in a more responsive state versus reactive state. That's going to be better for your overall well-being. Last week, we talked about the gut microbiome and how the foods that you eat can directly impact and have implications on various parts of your body. Now, those two systems, the mind and the microbiome, impact your beauty significantly, or the way you feel, or the way you look, because they are basically playing on the two biggest parts of the two most pivotal parts of your body, your brain and your gut. The third most pivotal part of your body is your heart, which we will cover a little bit of the heart today, just a tiny bit. But those two functions, the brain and the gut, are the biggest operating systems of your body. If those two don't have an environment where they can flourish, you will see those signs in the first place as your skin, because your skin is what shows you that there's imbalances inside. And so that's where the beauty flow method came from, because people have truly attacked beauty just from the outside without looking at how the inside plays an even more significant impact in your beauty. Okay. So the other thing that I also want to talk about is that it's beyond just the foods you eat and the thoughts you think. It also has to do with your own physical energy and your soul. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about this. And I want to make sure that I say this before we go into it, that I'm not going to talk about anything that is going to infringe on anyone's like religion or belief systems. It's just basically, it's going to be a surface conversation that really does talk about how the way that you feel inside in your soul does play an impact in your beauty and in your health and well-being. So we're going to talk a little bit about all of that. Okay. I always like to start with a little bit of a quote. And this one comes from one of my favorite authors and doctors, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Does anybody know Dr. Joe Dispenza? If you do, throw it in the chat. I'm just curious. If you don't, it's totally okay. But some people might know Joe Dispenza. I feel like we're on a first name basis, Joe and I. No, nobody does. Okay, that's totally cool if you don't. So Dr. Joe Dispenza is an author who really taps into neuroscience. And he's the person that I have studied the most when it comes to neuroscience. He was actually, one of his books was a textbook that I studied out of for one of my mindset certification courses. And what he says is, when you change your energy, you change your life. Like, it's simple. And what I mean by simple is that it's a simple concept. It's complicated to get there, and it's rooted in various different manifestations. But when you decide that you want to change your energy, like your physical energy and how you show up and how you decide what you want for yourself, your energetic code, your life will change. And it is beyond true. I have worked in this space in a while, for a long time. And every time I go back to choosing what I want my energy to be like, I always see wonderful, fruitful results at the end of it. Okay. And one of the things that I will talk about in my coaching program, that I also like to talk about here, is that every human has an energetic biofield that is now scientifically, it can be measured. It's not a figurative, like, oh, you have good energy, you have good energy. No, it is like a scientifically measurable biofield that now scientists can see with technology, that our energetic biofield actually spans a 6-foot circumference from around us. And so you may know this as, like, if you ever get like a good feeling about somebody, or you ever get a bad feeling? Like as soon as you get within 6 feet of their biofield, you get this like energetic, like, oh, I'm kind of reading, you know, I'm a good source of judgment, or I judge. Does anybody ever feel that? Can you tell me in the chat if you ever get that? I'm just curious. I'm sure you have, right? Yep. Like even like when the clients sit in your chair, you know, like immediately by just that energetic field of that client, like, ooh, this is going to be like, I'm taking her to therapy today. Like she needs, or he needs this, like he needs help. They need help, right? Or, ooh, this is going to be a fun day. Like we are going to get through this. We're going to have a good time. Like you could just feel, right? It's that energetic biofield that everybody omits. And what we don't know, or what we do know, but you may not always know, is that you get to choose how you omit your energy. Okay. And I say this because no one can make you do anything. You are a sovereign being. And I say this because it's really important that you understand that like your energy is yours to protect. You get to decide all of that. And it's really funny. I'll give you an example of like when we don't think that we can protect our own energy. So, okay, I've been married almost 15 years. It'll be 15 years in July. And over the course of my 15 years of marriage, I've had some arguments with my husband, right? Like any married person or anybody in a relationship. And I just remember, just so you guys know a little backstory, my husband got certified to be a mindset coach with me. So that's a really fun time in arguments now these days when we're both mindset coaches. But one day I was like, you make me feel crazy. You make me so sad. You make me feel crazy. And he stopped me and he's like, I don't make you do anything. Like, that's not my intention. You are allowing yourself to feel crazy. You are allowing yourself to feel sad, but I'm not making you. And like, that's a really, like, it always sticks out to me when he brings that up, because the truth is no one can make you feel a specific way. No one. It's your choice, your response or your reaction that will get you to feel a certain way. You can choose how you want to feel. You can choose what you want to do. Okay. In some cases, you don't have a choice, right? Like if you have a boss and you have a certain schedule and you have a client, like there are things that you cannot choose, but at the end of the day, you can always choose how you want to show up for yourself. And I want you to just remember that, because I think it's something that we don't normalize. And we don't normalize this discussion a lot. But when you get into this type of work with a coach, you're going to start to see like you do have the power. You do have the power to make the choices that are right for you. You just have to want to make those choices. Whether it's working out, whether it's, you know, maybe substituting that sugary dessert for something else, whether it's choosing your priorities, you get to choose. You are a sovereign being, which means you are in full control of yourself. Okay. I hope that resonates. Like when people say you hurt my feelings. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because your intention isn't to hurt people's feelings if you say something, right? So it's their decision to have a hurt feeling, right? And we can go down a rabbit hole with this discussion. I just want to kind of keep it surface. Because a lot of times when people's feelings are hurt, it's not really you that hurt their feeling. You just triggered something in them, right? And so let's just keep that where it is right now. And I'm going to keep moving on because I want to talk a little bit about how the mind sometimes can be more important than food. You can be a well-fed person, but you can be malnourished at the same time. And I say that in two different meanings, right? Like you can physically be a well-fed person. You can be well-fed with food, but you can be malnourished because that food isn't giving you nutrients. And this is very common with the American culture, with American diets, is that we are all very well-fed. We live in a very prosperous country where we eat whatever we want, however we want. But we're also one of the most malnourished countries because we are not nourishing our bodies or our environments. But you can also be well-fed and you can also be super healthy. You could be doing all the green juices. You could be doing all the yoga classes. You could be you could be doing, you know, like the perfect, whatever that is, like the perfect diet. You could be doing the perfect workout routine, but you can also be malnourished from like a spirit and mindset space. I've done makeup on quite a few celebrities in my life, and I have been privy to kind of understanding the lifestyle of some celebrities. I have friends who are professional makeup, who are personal makeup artists to celebrities, and they have all the money in the world. They have all of the tools and access in the world, but they're some of the most tortured people, right? And so what I mean by that is like they feel loneliness, they feel all of these different things. So what I want you to take away from opting for better choices is that your mindset and how in your mental well-being is just as important as choosing the right broccoli or the right, I don't know, kale, whatever it is, the right food choices. And so this is how we start to put those, like, the beauty flow together, right? The finding your why, the letting go of thoughts that no longer serve you, you know, the opting for better choices. This is where it all starts to come together, because it is a relationship. It's a relationship. And when you have practiced your mental fitness and your well-being, and you've understand how to create an environment where your body can thrive, that is when you're the most nourished. When you are nourished, you have well-being, and you will see that in your outer radiance. Is this sticking with you guys? Can you tell me a little bit if this is like, because this is the first time we're like really bringing it all together. And I just want to know if you're like, if you're with me. Are you with me? Yes, yes. You're with me in the chat. Okay. Okay. I love that. Love. Yeah. I think it's really, really key to remember that you can be well fed but malnourished at the same time. You can be, figuratively and literally. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So what I'm going to show you next is going to bring you a little bit back into the food conversation, or into like the wellness conversation when it comes to food. And I'm going to kind of, I'm going to introduce this as, you know how like every country has its own like food pyramid, or it's like optimal food sort of template. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, I'm sure you saw it as a kid, where like at the bottom, it was like you eat all the grains, and then you eat like the meats, and you eat the dairy, and you have all this, and it's like, this is the best diet for whatever. So a couple things that I want to say about those like best diets. There is no best diet. There is no perfect diet. And a lot of times those food choices are influenced by corporations. So like countries will put a little bit more focus on dairy and meat because they are getting paid from special interest in corporations. So I've always like wanted to tell you that the best diet is the one that your body intelligence is talking to you about. And we've talked about body intelligence is you being able to have that relationship with your body to understand like when something is not right, something is good, something is off balance. And I'll give you a quick example. So every time I eat gluten, I am going to get pimples. I just know it. It never fails, right? So I always know that like gluten is probably not going to be the best thing for me because it ends up showing up in my skin. Another one, okay, I told you guys I grew up, my parents are from Mexico. My mom makes the best salsa in the world. And every time I eat her salsa, because it's kind of spicy, like when it's too spicy, I like feel it, like the way it goes down, and then like I feel it in my belly, and I'm all like, okay, that can't be well. Like your body is telling you when something is off, when something is wrong. So that is your best diet, is when you can understand when foods feel good versus not feel good. Okay. But I did go to, I'm going to give you a kind of a diet template that comes from the school that I graduated from, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And integrative nutrition basically is a holistic health coaching school and program. And this is the plate This is like the template plate that they suggest that humans will thrive from, but also build an environment that their body can thrive from. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to just be quiet for a few moments, and I want you to take it in. Okay, just take it in. I will tell you, I'm going to give this to you at the end of today. This will be available for you. Okay. In the chat, tell me what sticks out to you. What is the one thing that you're like, whoa? What is different about this than any other like food pyramid or food template that you have seen before? No meat, no dairy with you. Okay. Including aspects of your life. Right. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? I mean, the first time I saw this, you know what blew my hair back? Water. What? Water, right? Yeah. You can only use a fork, LOL. Yes and no, and I'll get into this in a second. Totality of food and life choices, totally, right? So what, oh, let me just put it this way. Okay. What this represents is a template for like the optimal food portions. And I think that's what we never really looked at before as a country. As like, what should each category of food represent on our plate? Because that's where real life happens, right? Real life doesn't happen in a pyramid or a triangle. Like, it doesn't work that way. This is how it works, right? And so let's just zone in on the food for a quick second, and then we'll get to the outer part of the plate in a moment, right? What we know from tons of research, because we have a lot of like sophisticated technology now to really understand the complexity of the human body more, is what we know is that our bodies thrive from a plant-forward diet. That doesn't mean vegan, that doesn't mean vegetarian, that just means more plants than anything. That's all that means, okay? So when you look at this plate, notice how big the vegetables is. It's over a quarter of your plate, okay? So that means is that you will be building the best environment for yourself when you overwhelm your plate with vegetables versus everything else. What we're taught in this country is that the vegetables is the side, right? And when you can start to adjust your way of thinking and crowd out all the other stuff with more vegetables, you're going to start to see things change in your body. Okay? And it could be mostly any vegetables. I mean, you guys know what we know about soy and corn, but you do have so many other options, okay? Let's also go to the whole grains. So whole grains, I don't want you guys to be too confused with like, okay, you just told me gluten was bad, but what's whole grains? Like, what does that look like? Like, yes, some, grains are good for us. The reason why gluten isn't as good is because of the pesticides, but it's all in moderation, right? It's all your balance. But in the whole grains category, that could be rice, quinoa, farro, amaranth, all of these grains that are delicious and wonderful, that are high in protein and fiber and high in all of these vitamins that our body needs. So when I talk about rice, I always suggest the darker the rice, the better. So like black rice, wild rice, those are the ones like, because they have more color, they have more nutrients. White rice isn't going to do anything for you. So that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like quinoa. Okay, quinoa, all day long quinoa. Farro, such a good one. Farro is gluten, but it is such a good grain. It's a different type. It's a great one. I'm trying to think about what other grains there are, but that's what we're talking about, okay? Now, fruits, it's good to get a lot of fruit throughout the day. Like that is where your sugar will come from. That's where you need those carbohydrates that come from fruits. You don't want carbohydrates that come from like bread, right? But notice the protein, okay? In our country, we are so used to like protein, 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 right? Like the protein monsters are going to come and get us. Like we need meat, 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 right? Fish, 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 fish. But really our body just needs a tiny bit of protein a day. Like, and I don't mean like a tiny, tiny bit, but like less than a quarter of our plate can be in protein. All right. You do want a healthy dose of fats and oils. We talked about this last week, where fats, our bodies run off of two energy sources. It either comes from fats or sugar. And we know that sugar gives us a quick energy boost, but it also gives us a quicker energy crash. Fats give us maybe a slower energy boost, but slow and steady wins the race, right? And so it keeps going, 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 and it keeps going and it keeps going. But when does it crash? It rarely does. It just keeps going, 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 going. So having fats and oils in every part of your diet is so important because that's going to give you your energy. And then water. There is no other liquid in the world that is going to create more nourishing benefits than water. And we have never talked about that before in like health class. Like they don't, like, it's really cute though. I will say my son is in preschool, and when they talked about health, they actually gave them this plate. Has anybody seen this plate before? I'm just curious. Throw it in the chat if you've seen it before. Like when they came home with this, I was like, oh my God, they're like showing it to preschoolers now. At least they are in Chicago public schools. And my daughter, they're not quite there yet, but they're getting closer to this, which is really interesting. So I just feel like it's like there's hope, you know, that we're showing our young people like how the body truly does thrive. And everyone may have different cultural point of views. And I will tell you, it's very, and when I say cultural, it doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, like a different country, but like depending on where you live in the country, culturally, you were brought up with a form of eating that was passed down from your family. And that's, you know, ultimately you can adopt that into this. But what we're telling you here is like, based on the research and based on various different modalities. And also what I mean by research is like people who are having a quality of life, like who are living long versus dying long, living long. This is typically the foods that they eat. It also represents a lot of like those blue zone areas. If you guys know blue zones, there's about 5 in the world where there's the most amount of centennials that live there, like people who are over 100. This is basically what their diet looks like. Okay. But you picked up on something that was very interesting. It's the outer part of the plate. Okay. You can, remember, eat all of the fancy foods, have the best quality meats. You can do all the green juices, do all the yoga, do all the HIIT classes, do all the soul cycle that you want in the world. But it doesn't matter unless you are nourished on the inside from your soul and your mind. Okay. What I learned in school and also learned in my almost 40 years on this planet is that what really nourishes you as a person, what nourishes you are your relationships with people, the relationships you have with your family, with your friends. Without community, without relationships, people really have a hard time moving forward. If you're in a coaching program with me and you have a very severed relationship with someone that you love truly dearly, whether it's a partner or a child or a parent, it's gonna be really hard for me to get you to eat broccoli. It just is. Doesn't matter what I tell you to eat because you are mentally being pulled from a severed relationship. But if you think about it this way, if you like, you know, when you just like find love for the first time and you just fall in love, like everything in the world is just so like you see life through rosy colored glasses and you're just like, I love life. And you feel good. You feel amazing. It's because those relationships nourish your soul. They nourish you. Okay. And then we have physical activity. Okay. Physical activity in our country and I'm always going to speak about our country because that's where we all live. Most people do it so that they look good. Okay. They don't do it for the peace of mind and to be healthy. And so if you've ever been somebody, and this is like no shame, it's not a shame game, right? If you've ever been somebody who's like, oh, bikini bod, I got to get my bikini on, like it's summer's around the corner, I got to get in shape, right? That comes from a vanity place. It comes from a place of shame. It comes from a place of like, I don't look good, so I need to get prepared. It's a perfection project. Physical activity from a mindset perspective, so that remember, the best way to get out of your mind is to get into your body. The best way you can really live a long, nourishing life is to create the environment where your body can move properly, where you can actually, like, you've got the muscles and the flexibility so that you don't get hurt, right? I look at my parents who never do any physical activity, and like just getting out of bed in the morning is some of the most painful experiences of their life. Does anybody relate to that or know what I mean? Like, especially like once you get over it, like you're almost 40, all of a sudden like waking up in the morning is like one of the most discomforting experiences, just waking up and getting out of bed, right? And so physical activity is one of those things that will nourish you more than food. It will nourish you because it will create a body that you feel good in. And not so much from a vanity perspective, but literally in the sense of the word, feel good in. Okay. The other thing that's going to nourish you more than food is your career. And I say career because it makes an impact with people that I talk to, like all of you, but I really mean your life's work, right? Like whenever I talk to clients, and even some of you who've actually reached out to me on Instagram, you know, you talk about like you're searching for your purpose. And I think this happens a lot when you're in your like your late 30s. You start looking like, okay, what is my purpose? Like what am I here to do? Like what am I here to contribute? And our career is such an important part of our life because we spend more time there than we do doing that than anything else we do, right? I spend more time in my career than I do with my kids. I spend more time at work than I do at my own home. So building an environment where my career is making me happy and fulfilling is really important because, you know, if you're unhappy with what you do more hours out of the day, that is going to kill your soul. And what that then happens, like then all of a sudden, like you start going in that low frequency. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. You start going this like low frequency of emotions. When you start going into low frequency emotions, your body starts to actually crave highly palatable foods. That's why people, when they're stressed, they want like the fatty foods and the sugar and all this kind of stuff, is because that low frequency wants something to jolt it out of it, and it uses the taste buds to do that scientifically. So that, isn't that crazy? So like when you're down in the dumps on your career or your relationships, the first thing you do is you go get like a pizza or a donut, or you're like, I just need to go get something sweet, because your body is craving you to jolt out of it, and it really wants highly palatable foods. So when you start to become more happy, your body doesn't need those foods as much, which is really, I hope you guys know that's really interesting. I don't know. Did you guys get anything from that? Does it make sense? Are you with me? Is it landing? Let me know in the chat. You guys are awfully quiet today, so I just need to know. Landing. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Awesome. Yes, Marianne. Okay, cool. Yes, yes. Yep, getting it. Okay, love that concept. Okay, cool. Cool. Yes, yes. Okay. So the other area that we've identified that can nourish you more than food is your spirituality. And so here's where I want to be very careful that I don't infringe on anybody's belief system, because spirituality doesn't necessarily mean religion. Religion doesn't necessarily mean spirituality. Like it kind of goes both ways. But your connection whatever that looks like in life, okay? It's very open-ended and it means something very different to everybody, right? It can mean, if you are very religious, it means something to you. If you're not religious, it could mean something to you, right? It doesn't not matter. But your connection to something bigger than you and your belief that you are being guided in some which way, however it resonates with you, is what will truly nourish you. Because without your connection to that, you tend to lose hope. Okay? And so that hope is what keeps you chugging along. And I want you to know that like when you come into my coaching program, some of the most profound moments and breakthroughs happen when you finally connect to whatever that looks like to you. Whatever that looks like to you. And so I do that on various different levels. But it is one of the most profound ways to look at your life. And without that, without like you having this belief system that you are gonna be okay, and you falling back on that belief system, it makes it harder for you to come out of your anxiety or a depression or something like that, because there's no belief there. And maybe you do believe and you still have anxiety, and that's okay. It just means connecting back to that in those moments. It just means kind of rewiring on how you frame your mind in those moments. So spirituality is a very, very big part of your well-being. And if spirituality to you, if it doesn't hit you or land with you, totally fine. I'm not saying that like you're doomed by any means. No way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's another tool that will nourish you more than food. Because when you really believe in something, whatever that looks like for you, that hope will carry you more than broccoli will. That hope will carry you more than that green juice will. That hope will carry you more than a yoga class will. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Okay. Are you with me on that one? Right? Just checking in just to make sure if you're with me on that. Yep. Okay. And I want to be very careful because it's very individualized on what that looks like and how that sounds to you. Cool. Okay. Sweet. Just making sure. And I just want to, yeah, you get it. All right, moving on. Cool. So, opting for better choices. Everything you do, it's all a choice. It's all a choice. Whatever you decide, remember, you are a sovereign being. Hold on, I want to go back to this. I've waited the most. Yeah, awesome, Stephanie. Thank you. That was beautiful to share. Yeah, you're just different. Happiness is like, you got to find it sometimes, and it's not easy to find happiness. I have to be honest, for some people, it's not easy. That's why support is so important. Asking for help, getting someone to walk you through it and hold you accountable to be happy. Some people need that, and that is okay. It is okay. Okay. Only you can choose what's the next best move for you. Whether it's a mindset move or a self-connection, a nutrition, a lifestyle, or really anything, it is where it starts and stops with you. Okay. Because I heard this quote that once you realize that Superman is not coming for you, you're left with one person. You're left with yourself. And I was like, yeah, right? Because Superman isn't going to come all the time. Sometimes Superman, a version of Superman comes, but when Superman isn't coming, you're left with one thing, and that's you. And it's a choice. Now, what I always recommend, especially when you work with me one-on-one or just even in a day like today, when we're just talking about choices, it's a disservice for me to be like, oh, just make the choice. You could just make a choice. Like, why not? Choose the right thing. Choose the broccoli, choose the kale, choose the juice, choose working out, choose that. It doesn't work that way. Yes, you can make the choice, but the first thing you have to do is have an awareness of your habits. Like, what is your pattern of habits? And that's the first place to start is, why am I not choosing what I know is right for me? Like, what is the pattern of habits that leads me to choose the wrong thing? That's really what opting for better choices is. It's like really just starting to identify where the pattern comes from. And then consciously choosing to break the pattern. That's what I mean by that. Okay. Hope that makes sense. And for some of you, you might be like, you know what? I don't even know where to start with observing my habits. Like, that's when you reach out to me and we can talk about that, right? What that looks like. You can DM me with that kind of stuff like that. But everything is a choice and you are a sovereign being. No one can make you do anything. You get to choose how you want to show up. It's all a choice. Okay. So, real life hits. Okay. Whether you work in a salon, whether you work in the corporate office of Salon Service Group, whether you just are a customer, whatever it is. Okay. We're going to talk salon life for now, but you can fill that in for work life, whatever that looks like for you. Okay. There are a couple key things to identify when you're in a salon, and what I have got feedback from you guys, from just my whole career in the beauty industry, working with various salon owners, working with hairstylists, working with even makeup artists, like, the diet or the lifestyle of people in the beauty industry. Well, it used to be in the 90s, it used to be like coffee, cigarettes, and Diet Coke. Like, that's what we lived off of, but not anymore, right? Now it looks a little different. Now we've made better choices. We've upgraded from that, but it's still like you're running off of coffee. You're running off of sugary foods, and there is a lack of breaks or a lack of time built in for you to refuel. That is real life, and that could be real life in many, many places, right? I remember when I used to work like at Fashion Week, I like hoarded snacks in my backpack, and I lived off of snacks for like a whole day, but it's all about like balance. Okay. If we know that our work day is not going to provide us the opportunity to nourish the body properly, that means that the other times of our day, we can show up more intentionally. Does that make sense? So if you know you're going to work 10 hours on your feet, which, by the way, that's physical activity. So you've got physical activity in, right? As a salon, as a stylist. If you know that 10 hours is not going to afford you the ability to meditate or to have those meals, what happens before and after is the time to be more intentional. Okay. That's the first thing that we can start with. We could be here. I could do a 10-week course on like salon life and being more balanced, right? But it's also being intentional with your down moments at work. Okay. And I'll give you like an example. Like, it takes me probably 7 hours for me to get my hair done. Okay. You guys can tell, look how dark my hair is, right? Very, very coarse Mexican hair. I like my hair to be this light all the time. So to get from here to here, you guys know how long it takes, right? Okay. Plus, I also have this mane that I want cut. So it takes me about like maybe 5 hours. I don't know, whatever. It takes a long time. And my hairstylist, when she is letting me process, what I see her doing is like sitting down, drinking coffee, and on her phone. Okay. And she knows me by now. And I'm always like, because I pack a lunch whenever I go get my hair done, because it's a full day for me. Like, I literally have all of my lunches, and I come with a cooler because I know better. And I'm all like, where's your lunch? You know that I take eight hours to process a whole day. Like, have something. And she's just like, oh no, I'm fine. And it's that excuse of like, I'm fine, instead of having intentional, like, look at your schedule. If you're going to be with somebody who's processing for 5 hours, in that time, well, not 5 hours, not processing for that long, but you know what I mean? You're like processing for 40 minutes. You can take 15 minutes to sit down and have a smoothie. You can take that time. It's all about how you intentionally structure your time, right? Or if you're in the corporate office, and you have this 15-minute chunk of time, would you rather spend that time taking 3 minutes to just quiet the mind and breathe, or being on Instagram, right? So the first step here is going back to, what are your values? What are your priorities? What's your why? Like, remember I told you, put that up somewhere where you can see it every day, where you can be like, okay, my priority is to have compassion. Well, compassion doesn't just mean compassion for others. It means compassion for self. Like, at what point am I going to be compassionate towards myself? And it does take action. It does take opting for better choices, but these are the types of things that can help you build your real life in a way that's going to complement your well-being. Okay. Let's keep going on that. Okay. So in salon life, I'm very well aware that the break situation is limited. I'm very well aware that you probably don't take lunch. I'm very well aware that you're on the go. And I'm also very well aware that somebody usually takes a coffee order around 3 o'clock and goes and gets snacks for everybody. Am I right? Tell me if I'm right. Am I right? I'm just curious. Even if you're at the corporate office, because I lived in this world. Like, no one. Okay. All right. Whatever. I tried. Fine. But what I will tell you is that, hold on, I got to chat. Let's see what it says. I bring my own jugs of coffee hot. Coffee runs at 2. Coffee runs at 2. Okay. Well, that makes sense. 2 is about a good snacking time. You're right. Here are your secret weapons of what you can include in every meal to make sure you're set up for success. Okay. Remember, your body operates the best off of fiber. Your gut loves fiber. So fruits and vegetables, that is amazing. Your body also needs fat for energy. So that can come in the form of nuts and avocado and salmon. Like, my gosh, yes, they just came out with this salmon jerky. I got it at Whole Foods, which is amazing. So like salmon jerky, avocado oil, olive oil, like these types of things are so good. Almond butter, MCT oil, which comes from coconuts. That's amazing. A little bit of protein, just a little bit of protein is all you need, and tons of greens. So if you can find a way to incorporate these 4 things into little snacks or to-go cups, whatever, to-go snacks, it's going to it's going to fuel you in a way that nourishes you. Okay. You're going to feel more energized. Your blood sugar is not going to spike. Okay. Insulin is going to stay a little bit more of a plateau versus going all up and down. Right. But you're supporting your microbiome and you're building an environment where your body can thrive. Okay. So this is a really, really beautiful thing to have. And remember, if you are working amongst malnourished people, right, that can also have an impact on how you are with your mindset. So when there are various people who are malnourished in the same environment, and this isn't just for like work, this is just in general too, right? When there are malnourished people in the same environment, it can cause a little bit of imbalance in like how you're responding to experiences or how you're reacting to experiences. So keep that in the back of your mind. Like if you see that people are not necessarily nourishing their bodies, that maybe their reaction to a situation comes from them being seriously malnourished than actually like having a problem with you or having a problem that comes from a true deep intention. Like I just want you to just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, because most people don't respond to experiences in a positive way when they are hungry, right? This hangry, that's where it comes from. So just keep that in mind, that keep yourself balanced, because when you tend to balance yourself, your biofield tends to get balanced, and then people are more balanced around you, which is a really beautiful thing. So you could be that person to create the momentum. So here are some of the things that used to work for me when I was in the beauty industry on my feet like all day long. And I still am. I have a commercial shoot in 2 weeks that's going to be a 10-hour day. And if you've ever worked on set, the snacks are not the best. So I always tend to bring stuff with me. And this has also worked a lot for my clients. I work with them on various different smoothies that include your fat, your fiber, your greens, and protein. Grain bowls and chia bowls are also really good, that you can just put in like a big cup and then just eat them on the fly as you go. And then also think about finger foods. So think about appetizer-like foods. And so like tortilla rolls are so good, because you could literally pop one in between clients or in between meetings or whatever that looks like for you. So having an arsenal of foods that you can include your fat, your fiber, your protein, and green in is key. The other thing are snack mixes. And so you can make your own Chex mixes. You can make your own versions of like a snack bar, snack bag, right? And so you can do things like nuts, and I prefer fresh fruit over dried fruit, but whatever, you can do you. It's just got a lot of sugar in the dried fruits. I love gluten-free granola. If you want to do any sort of sweeteners, you can do something like honey. You can do syrup, those types of things. Dates can be really fun to add to that. But keeping yourself in this sort of realm right here, where it can be in a cup or in a bowl that you can easily transport, this is going to be super, super huge, because you can still do the coffee run. There's nothing wrong with the coffee run. My point is that also include a food with the coffee run, because the coffee run is super fun. Everyone's doing it. You got to be part of the community. I totally get it. I would too, totally down, but I'm also going to eat at the same time so that I can really balance out my body, my well-being. And then that food helps to really help with clearing my mind. And this is a choice that I like to make for myself, because I feel so much better after, right? Only you can choose to prioritize your priorities. That's it. Only you can choose. So what are your priorities? Sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that. So go back to that. We did this in the first or second session. Like, we had declared our priorities. What means the most to us? If our family means the most to us, if our health means the most to us, if our community means the most to us, show up for those, right? So I always end with asking, like, what do you think is holding you back? And journal about that. If something is holding you back, like innately, like internally, you just feel this like pull back, right? Start journaling about what that looks like for you, okay? And if you feel overwhelmed, just think about it, or ask yourself, what is the one step you can make today to make progress in? That's it, just one step. One step today can it be all the momentum you need for making great choices in the future. So just what is the one step you can do today? Okay. And as a moment to check in on self, your body holds more truth than your mind. Listening to your own body intelligence is the most important thing you can do throughout this whole process. That's it. Take a deep breath, always put your hand on your heart and listen to what your body has to say without your mind getting in the way. Because disconnecting from the mind ultimately helps the mindset. So you will be receiving this guide of the integrative nutrition plate. You're going to get it. If you want to put it on your refrigerator, put whatever, share it with your family, I think it would be great. You know, the more people that can really see this, you are going to love it. So this will be available to you after, There will be a link. I'm guessing it's going to be found in the same exact place where you found the grocery guide. Okay. So here's the one thing that I will tell you. Everything takes consistency. You just got this education today, right? Everything. So one grand gesture isn't going to change your life. It is consistently practicing. It's consistently having accountability that will get you your transformation, right? And it's so important that you start with yourself. It's so important that you start by transforming yourself, because it's kind of like when you're on a plane, they tell you to put your own mask on before putting on your kids. Like if something goes wrong with you and you go down, what is that going to be for the rest of the people in your life? What would that mean? Because if I go down, I know my family wouldn't be able to go on. My kids wouldn't be able to go on. So transformation is so important, and you choosing yourself first is even that much more important. Okay. That is why I am offering every single person who mentions Salon Service Group for the next 30 days. You have 30 days. If you want to explore one-on-one coaching with me for 12 weeks, you will get a $300 discount for any of you guys, okay, in the next 30 days, that I hope will help you, because I really do believe that people deserve transformation. And if you want to make that choice, I would love to be the person to meet you halfway and help you with that, okay? Next session, guys, we're meditating. Woo! We're going to do another meditation. This one's going to be for anxiety and feelings of unrest. So again, no need to be an experienced meditator. Just find a quiet place with little distractions, wear comfortable clothing, lay down, bring a blanket, a cushion, a chair, whatever you got to do. Also bring your headphones. And here's the one thing I want to leave you with, the last thought. Your beauty is a direct reflection of your physical, emotional, and spiritual health. So choose it. Just choose it. And like always, you can connect with me with any program wins. I want to hear what's going on in your world. So I hope you enjoyed today's session on opting for better choices. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandy, for this wonderful session. And you were right. The sheets that are found on the same page as the grocery list of the guide that you showed us today. Thank you guys. Thanks, Gino, for sponsoring this awesome event. We're so happy to have you. I'm looking forward to meditating next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.